I've spent the past handful of days playing through Jamboree TV over and over again. And simply put, this is an add on that has some fun mini games, takes advantage of those mouse controls and kind of the camera controls too. That really does make it feel like a true welcome to Switch 2 game that I think a lot of us have been kind of waiting for. But to me, there are still a lot of big execution issues, I'll call them, where I feel they're a little bit lacking that make the game itself feel a little bit clumsy and kind of not necessarily thought through. Now, for those that just want the quick, should I buy this upgrade or game, in short, the mouse games, they're great. But you are only getting 22 total mini games and enhanced graphics for $20. So, to some people, that might not be really worth it. So, I'd say yes if you're someone that plans on playing this with other people. I think the couch co op is great, but also, even the camera controls are phenomenal. So, if you're someone that has a camera, then yes. Or if you're a Mario Party fanatic like myself, then yeah, who are you kidding? You're going to buy this even if you weren't watching this video anyways. So go out and buy it. That being said, this game is definitely not a must buy by any means, especially if you already have the Switch 1 version. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the actual gameplay. So, right when you start up the game, you get to this kind of clunky feeling. Immediately, we're asked, what game do we want to open up? Jamboree, Jamboree TV, or the game share? And what they don't mention is the normal Jamboree doesn't run in 4K like Jamboree TV. So to me, just the whole Jamboree TV should have just been its own separate island in normal Jamboree. And I feel like that would have been a lot more seamless. But, I digress. When you open up the actual Jamboree TV game, they give you four different modes: the Bowser mode, the Carnival Coaster game, the Mario Party mode, and also the free play. So Carnival Coaster, it's very familiar to the raft game if you ever play that in Super Mario Party, where you team up with 2 to 4 players and see how far you can go on the coaster before time runs out. And in this mode, if you basically you can add more time as long as you're doing well with your mouse control mini games, and also just you will battle different enemies and encounter different obstacles as you kind of blast away to try and get more time. So overall, this is a very fun experience. But it's fun when you have people, like whether it's your family, your friends, cooperatively, it's fun. But by myself, I probably wouldn't play this by myself. Now, I am a big sucker for a shooting gallery arcade S mode, so that might be a big reason. But truly, these mouse mini games really do shine, and most of them are just fantastic. So I'll do a separate video just breaking down my favorite mouse mode mini games because they're just absolutely great. There's really not a bad one of the bunch. Also in this mode, there are 5 different tracks that you can go around, and all of them kind of have their own unique challenges. But overall, this isn't as intense as that raft mode in Super Mario Party. I've always felt that one had a nice little challenge to this. These are a little bit very, very simple tracks. The next mode is Bowser TV, which makes you feel like it's kind of like Rhythm Kitchen in a sense. But with this mode, you're playing in 2 separate teams where you can only play either just camera games or mic mini games. Then you play 3 total activities and you kind of compete against each other, and whoever loses gets burned by Bowser. Now, it's not a terrible concept, but when you add in that there's only 3 mic mini games and only 3 camera mini games, and the last activity that you do is always yelling into the mic or camera as loud as you possibly can, then it gets a little bit old very quick. So it's a nice little addition when you play it once with friends, but besides that, you can't really play this multiple times without it feeling very, very stale. Now, another little kind of gripe with this is that the camera games can be fun, but the only mode that you can play the camera games in is in Bowser TV. They don't even show up inside of the mini game mode, so maybe that ends up changing, but for right now, this is the way it is. And last but not least, I'm going to just group together the Mario Party and free play modes because we're very accustomed to this. Now, there's no crazy huge addition with this. I will say, to me, the thing that feels like the biggest add is actually the camera mode. Yet again, the big draw of this game. is that camera. Because if you have a camera, it is actually very fun, even if you're playing in the same room, to see your friends' faces, to see people as you steal a star from them. And even at the very end of the game, they will actually show the highlights of you stealing your friend's star, which is actually a pretty nice addition. The other piece too with this is they added in the new frenzy and tag team rules to the Mario Party modes. Now, tag team, just kind of going back to being on the same team or two teams of two. And the frenzy mode is kind of nice because Mario Party can kind of drag on a little bit. So it just is a nice addition to a 5 turn game that gives you 50 coins, 1 star, and also a double dice block right off the gate. So to kind of wrap things up, at face value, I think that this is a okay add-on. My biggest gripe is really more so on how it was implemented, as it's kind of its own separate game. Because truthfully, the Bowser TV and roller coaster should have just been those different islands when you go into the Jamboree mode. Now, that would have solved a lot of the awkwardness with the addition, but it does feel like maybe the devs just didn't want to upgrade all of Jamboree to 4K, which kind of puts a sour taste in my mouth when it comes down to this. But still, alas, the gripes are more based on implementation, but not the actual game itself. The mouse modes are phenomenally fun, and if you have a camera, it can be great to just see your friends' reactions and really just kind of take it up to that next level. But yet again, if you have a camera, which is 50 plus dollars plus this $20 add-on. So when it kind of comes down to should you buy this? Yet again, this game is not a absolute must-have. If you have a camera, then yeah, it can be great, it can be fun, and if you're playing with other people, then awesome. But if not, it's not necessarily an absolute buy that you definitely have to add if you're someone that just plays by yourself. So that's my take on the game. Let me know your take down below in the comments. And if you love Mario Party, please subscribe and leave a like. It helps out the channel tremendously. And thanks again. I'll see you in the next video.